A half-mile outside the city of Bruma, 4 travelers walk into a dark, quiet tavern. The locals eyed the strangers with suspicion as they walked into the old, rickety building. The first one to approach the bar is a Kaiji. His leather armor matches the color of his fur. He leans against the bar in an overly casual way.
Gajit would like a drink, yes? Something cheap.
Sure thing, friend.
The only woman among the 4, a tall Nord, takes a seat next to Dar'Mokir, the Kaiji. She greets the barkeep.
Lastius! It's been a while!
Oh, Rose Meadhammer. It has. Why are you with this lot? You aren't in any trouble, are you?
Not at all, you old milk drinker. These are my cousins?
The Imperial man quickly steps in, profound nose held high.
She speaks metaphorically, of course. We're guildmates.
The tavern owner raises a bushy eyebrow, disbelief apparent in his pristine features. He seemed to examine the Clovian man he had never seen before.
Is that so, young sir? And what guild would that be?
We're a newly formed guild, the Knights of the Empty Throne. I'm its guildmaster, Cassius Leland. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. Lastius, was it?
The lie might have fooled the tavern owner had he not seen the confusion in young Rose Meadhammer's eyes. She nearly opens her mouth to ask Flonius Oaken-Hull why he had introduced himself as Cassius Leland. But his wink assures her it was perfectly aware of the inaccuracy. Still, the tavern owner has seen her confusion and is aware of the lie. Even the young Nord girl could tell that by his suspicious glare. It is becoming quickly apparent to the 4 companions that they are not well received. Brazgur Gro-Dulob, the orc, folds his arms over his barrel-like chest with his back to the wall. Dar'Mokir appears to be simply enjoying his drink, but the twitching of his ears would indicate otherwise.
What can I get your guild to drink, Miss Meadhammer?
From the Journal of Rose Meadhammer of Bruma, dated 20th of Frostfall, 2E, 582.
I was as nervous as a hog in Frostfall, which was fitting, since it was Frostfall. Lastius, the old worker who owned this tavern, knew Flonius was lying. I thought Imperials were supposed to be good liars. I did the only thing I knew what to do and ordered more mead. A round of mead on me, Lastius.
Must pay well to be in a guild. Huh, Rose?
I think so. I was starting to sweat. Sweating in heavy armor, not very nice. I didn't like his sneaky talk. He knew we were lying. I just wanted to tell them where we were all going, what we were doing. Why was Flonius lying about our quest? I decided to ask him. Flonius! We can tell him the truth. I know and trust this man.
Flonius? Who's Flonius?
Meadhammer, you mammoth-brained fool!
Why was Flonius yelling at me? Before I could ask him, the Khajiit leaned over to us.
There's a shadowy figure watching from the corner. This is not often a good thing, yes?
I looked around. The tavern wasn't very busy and was quite small. I saw the cloaked man sitting alone. Maybe that was why Flonius didn't want to say his real name.
Look, Mr. Flonius. I don't think you understand. We Colovians stick together. Now tell me who you are and what you're doing with young Rose.
This one wonders. Do all Imperials fear adventure so much? Like clawless kitten.
I slew more goblins in my day than you'll ever see, cat.
Perhaps the Khajiit will not waste his youth slaying goblins when there are bigger fish to catch.
Before Lastius had a chance to respond, there was a crashing sound. When I turned my head, I saw Brazgur, chest puffed and shoulders broad, face to face with Grotto, a local woodcutter I had known since youth. Grotto was strong, but no match for an orc. Splintered pieces of chair were strewn across the tables and floor. The woodcutter held one piece in hand, swaying side to side. He was drunk.
From the Journal of Brazgur, Gro-Dulob. Undated.
These tamed people are so proud to wear their flaws like banners. They urged me not to attack the fool who had struck, while my back was turned.
We don't need to be thrown out into the cold to die, Brazgur.
Desperation was apparent in Flonius' mewling voice. I knew he had little chance against winter's strength. But what no one in the tavern understood, will ever understand, is that to simply turn my back to this insult was to betray Malakoth. That I would not do. So many of my people have betrayed the code, claiming to worship Moloch, the imposter god. Their weakness is the same as those in the tavern. I said to the challenger, that was a mistake. He swung the chair leg at me. I grabbed the pitiful weapon and wrenched it from his hands, as a forge wife rips a hammer from a curious baby. I tossed it aside and took a step forward. The fear in the human's eyes was that same fear of a dying deer. Like a deer, he turned to run. I grabbed the back of the run's neck and leaned my face close to his. I don't think so, Pop. An affront to one's honor must be repaid.
Brazgur, no!
You put him down, orc.
But the code is clear. I had no choice but to pay the Imperial fool in kind. I turned the whimpering human so that he was facing me. His breath reeked of goat meat and wine. He was drunk. Hardly an even matched fight. I threw him into the gray wooden wall and shoved my face against his, slamming my fist against the wall next to his head. If you are stupid enough to challenge me, then do it to my face.
That's enough!
I grabbed the Imperial by the shoulders and slamming him against the wall. His puny head nearly cracked open upon the rickety wood. I then dropped the sniveling human and went to the bar, dropping a coin upon the table. I may be an orc, bound to my people's code, but I am not stupid. A mead for me.
The lass already got you one. Right here.
Then I'll have two. The tavern owner got me a drink, and the cowardly attacked one left me alone for the rest of the night. Even if things did not happen as they did, I doubt he would ever attack me again.
From the Journal of Dar'Mokir.
The creature dragged on like kitten's claws upon rug when being taken to bathe. Dar'Mokir was most bored after he realized the dark man in the corner was no threat. You see, Khajiit has been traveling TAMRIEL for many years, and he has learned when someone is watching because he wishes them ill, and when someone is watching when one is curious. This man was certainly the curious type, or so Khajiit believed. Still, even he does not know for certain. Nothing is certain. You see, the stupid Nordger, the stuck-up deserter Flonius, explained the grand quest that we four were on, quietly, as if not to be overheard. This seemed to assuage Lastius' concerns. After this, the tavern owner brought up the rumor we all heard, but few believed.
You know what they're saying about Cold Harbor.
About the Fighters Guild attack?
And the mages.
Puny man in dresses.
Oh, not so, my Snowberry.
Khajiit was most amused by the nickname Snowberry. He noticed Rose Blush.
More brave souls have been marching into those portals each day, I hear. I wonder how many they'll send before they realize it's hopeless.
A young Imperial, puffed up like a proud bird, chirped his opinion, though Dar'Mokir did not hear it asked for.
Everybody knows they aren't coming back. Nothing escapes Cold Harbor.
Then, as if Azura heard the proud bird's opinion, the door slammed open, and a creature stumbled in. Khajiit remained calm, ever at ease with his surroundings, yes. Others around Khajiit stood up and grabbed their weapons. This creature was pale, lanky, and had pointed ears. Khajiit immediately knew it was an Altmer, but it did not have the golden skin of most high elves.
What is it?
By the 8.
Dar'Mokir was unafraid, and so he finished his drink and approached the ugly elf creature. Even the mighty orc seemed to be scared. Khajiit followed the heart of the mother cat and offered a potion of curing diseases. The sickly elf fumbled with it, weak hands, nearly dropping the generous gift. Dar'Mokir stabbed his claw into the cork and yanked it out. Khajiit also gave him a sip of his last health potion.
My thanks.
Others gathered around Dar'Mokir as he knelt by the sick Altmer. Khajiit's distaste for this dog-up elf was overshadowed by his curiosity.
Are we on NIRN? Did I make it?
He must have cracked his fragile skull. Of course we're in NIRN.
What do you mean, elf? Where did you come from?
Cold Harbor.
All eyes turned onto the puffed-up Imperial youth who had said nothing escapes Cold Harbor.
From the Journal of Flonius Oaken-Hull.
Cold Harbor seems to merge more with Tamriel each day. We had no reason to be surprised by the appearance of this refugee from Oblivion. He told us his name was Aelmindil. He was once a First Oridon Marine. Dominion filth. His brother was a worm cultist. Aelmindil attempted to change his brother's ways and was rewarded by being poisoned, dragged to some altar, and slain by his own bloodkin. A true testament to the Altmer's value of family. The withered, paled Mer told us that he was what they call a soul shriven.
My soul was taken from me. Taken by the cult of the worm. Twisted the mind of my brother. Stars, how could I have been so weak?
At least you made it back to Tamriel.
Only this husk of a body.
How does one escape Cold Harbor? It seems a feat for Origin himself.
Some time ago. I don't know how much time it's been.
Before Aelmindil could fade away completely, I cleared my throat to rouse him.
Yes, of course. Some time ago, there was a riot. Only a few escaped, but since then, the Soul Shriven have been thinking about trying it again. Oh, you must understand, to even bring oneself to such thoughts in the gloom of Cold Harbor is no simple task. To entice an entire population of soulless mortals, slowly drifting deeper and deeper into madness, nigh impossible.
But you did it?
No, I escaped in the chaos. Through what wit remains in my hollow mind, I found my way to an anchor portal. There I prayed with the last of my faith to Morriel. I prayed that I might be returned to Tamriel with some form of a body, if only to escape the endless torture.
And then what happened?
I traveled through the dark anchor and landed in the snow, near a dolmen not far from here.
There is a dolmen near here?
Many miles south from here, yes. I have been running all day.
The Daedra could be here any minute.
Now hold on, everybody. We don't know if they're headed in this direction, and no one is going to survive out in the cold.
Brazgur crossed the room in just a few heavy strides. He grabbed the soulless Altmer by the collar of his ragged clothes.
Which direction? Where the Daedra heading?
I do not know. I simply ran.
If there was a legion nearby, they might send riders into the storm to warn the civilians in places like this. Although the Empire was technically allied with Moloch Baal, there was no alliance which could stop a rampaging horde of Daedra from slaughtering any civilians they came across. I couldn't be here if those riders came to this tavern. Before I could begin to fathom how I was going to escape the situation, a scream from outside pierced the muttering crowd.
Something's out there.
I looked out between the boards of the shoddily built tavern, battle axe in hand. Outside, I saw only the blowing snow and trees. Flonius stood on the other side of the door, his sword in hand. Though a weakling, he at least had the heart enough to prepare himself for battle and approach it head on.
What did you see?
Nothing. Mahara's bosom.
Then, I saw them as the Imperial had. A figure walking through the snow, armored. I could tell it was Daedric armor, by the excessive and impractical spikes.
Dremora! Get everyone in the back of the tavern now!
I watched the figure come closer. As it walked down the road, I scanned the tree line for any reinforcements. I had never seen a Daedric work alone. I focused down the road. Perhaps they were just waiting over the rise. Scamps! They came from nowhere, all smashing all the walls with their little fists. I held my weapon up and defended my battle stance, keeping my eyes open. Rose Meadhammer joined us, her sword and shield ready. I had no doubt the Khajiit departed out some back door long ago. Flonius used some strange magic to cover himself in a green glass-like ward. It looked easily breakable. Rose was easily impressed, though.
Ooh.
The door broken open, sending scamps tumbling into the tavern. I brought my axe down on one as it passed, severing its head. The one she-norm slammed one into the wall with her shield. I was impressed. Several of the scamps escaped into the back room as we fought the others off. I roared out my battle cry. Another Daedra I cleaved in two with my axe and smashed my iron boot upon another, snapping its weak little spine. But suddenly, the remaining scamps stopped attacking. I looked up and saw the Dremora standing in the doorway.
Dar'Mokir danced like an Arthi, his blades whirling and slicing at the scamps. Though Khajiit wields short swords, his reach is long. His dance is perfectly accurate, his strikes landing exactly where he wishes them to, on each and every time. But the sheer number of scamps was nearly too great, even for Dar'Mokir. One of them unexpectedly shot a fireball at him. He flew across the room, but landed on his feet, as Khajiit always does. Dar'Mokir was, of course, protecting himself and not the sheepskins. But his self-preservation saved them nonetheless. Aelmindil, the sickly Altmer, ran to the back door and opened it.
Don't follow him! You'll die out there!
Khajiit's blade sliced open the throat of the nasty little scamp. he turned to see Aelmindil get snatched up like a fish out of the river by another scamp. He pulled him onto the ground and started to thrash him in the head. Khajiit sheathed one sword in a scamp that jumped at him. He used his free hand to throw a knife at the Daedra top held to his shriveled altman. But another fireball hit Dar'Mokir from behind. He fell forward and hit his head on the floor. Though dazed, Khajiit was still in the fight, but unable to protect both himself and Aelmindil as the scamps dragged him away.
The big armored demon stood in the doorway like a nightmare, blue eyes glowing in the dark tavern. His voice still rings in my head.
Get back, pathetic mortals. I have come for the escaped prisoner.
There is no prisoner here, fiend.
I was terrified, but I wouldn't admit that. I also wouldn't admit that the sight of Brazgur holding his axe was some comfort to me.
Lie to me again if you want to suffer in Cold Harbor along with him.
The animal demon dragged the Altmer back into the main room. I didn't know what to do. Could we defeat this thing along with all his little monkey friends? Flonius seemed to have no problem with letting the demon take the sick elf.
Very well, take him and leave us alone.
A wise decision. Although you only delay your destiny of service to the King of Rape.
Brazgur kept his weapon up, looking at Flonius with wide eyes. I stood back, allowing the monkeys to hop out of the room around us as the armored demon turned to leave. Aelmindil was dragged out into the snow, head hanging off to the side.
I will not surrender so easily!
No, Orsimer. Our quest is more important than a soulless husk.
Suddenly, something furry went past my vision. I looked just in time to see Dar'Mokir leap out into the cold. Brazgur didn't hesitate, pushing Flonius aside and rushing out into the blizzard. I followed, not wanting to miss out on any of the fighting. The blizzard was as thick as Yskamor's beard, but I could hear Dar'Mokir and the demon fighting, and an occasional fireball from the magic monkeys. Brazgur charged with his axe over his head, screaming. I did what he did.
The four heroes send the Dromora and its scamps screaming back into Oblivion. Brazgur carried the unconscious body of Aelmindil, the soul shriven, back into the tavern. They all waited out in the blizzard together as Dar'Mokir treated his burns and fussed over his singed fur. The fellow travelers couldn't help but wonder why he had thrown himself into the fray to save Aelmindil. Perhaps the Khajiit wasn't quite as selfish as he liked to think. It isn't until noon the next day that the storm dies down and it is safe for the trapped tavern goers to return home. The four travelers pay for some hot soup and say their farewells to Lastius before walking out into the crystalline forest, covered in frost and snow.
We have to make it to Fort Dragonclaw before the rest of these Daedra meet up with the Legion.
If every Daedra is as formidable as our opponent last night, I welcome the challenge.
They are, Brazgur. You don't need to worry about that.
Come then. Dar'Mokir is eager to get away from this place.
Before you leave,
Aelmindil approaches Dar'Mokir and bows before him.
I should not have fled in the first place. You four faced that Dromora head on. So shall I against the spawn of Oblivion, to regain what was stolen from me.
You will go back to Cold Harbor after just escaping?
Yes, and stars guide you.
Fight well, Aelmindil.
companions have survived the blizzard, but they have many challenges ahead of them. The road will be long and not at all easy, but there is hope, and that will have to be enough to guide them forward.